Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome back to Power Up Gamers. This is episode 3 of our DMM panel open forum discussion. Today with me, I have Troy, Mary, Matt, Alexandros, Jay, and Donald. So before we get started in diving into different topics, I'll give them all a chance to introduce themselves, plug whatever channels they have groups they belong to. So Donald, let's begin with you.
Uh, my name is Donald. I am a patron on Andrew's channel, Dawn Forge Casts, another good channel. If you if, like watching 5th edition games, Pathfinder, and any other new mechanic games that Andrew is trying out. Currently, he is trying the Star Wars tabletop games out. If you like all that, check his channel out. Uh, Jared, you have his channel link, so you can just put this down in the bottom later.
Yeah.
I will
Uh,
put my three to Troy now, or whoever next.
okay. Next will be AJ.
Uh, yeah, I'm Jay. I'm also a patron of Dawn Forge Cast. Other than that, I'm just a guy. Uh, don't don't really have anything new to say about. I'll say about that except that Dawn Forge Cast is really amazing. As someone who hasn't been a DM for very long, it's Andrew's a very good teacher for the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons and for workshopping adventure ideas.
Yes, you can definitely see his teacher background when he explains and how to play. Uh, uh, Alexandros, you're up.
All right, hi, my name is Alexandros. You can call me Alex, I'm from Greece. Excuse my silly accent. um, I don't have a channel to plug in or anything like that. I'm just a normal peasant. But I do love D&D. I have been playing in DM for a lot of years. And I, I would just like to say that I have started a club with a few of my friends. We're basically trying to build a community here in Greece, trying to introduce more people to board games and tabletop games, because here in Greece they are not so much accepted and embraced as in other countries. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and looking forward to speaking with you guys.
Awesome. Matt, you're up.
Hello, I'm Matt. I run the YouTube channel Zephyr's Gambit, where we play games, and I am developing an RPG as well that's very slow and cumbersome, but eventually I'll get there.
Okay. Mary,
Hey, I'm Mary Chris, and I'm a nanny by day, an artist by night, and you can catch my various social medias and where I post my artwork in the comments below. And I've been one of Jarn's players for goodness almost a year now. So yeah.
awesome. And I appreciate you filling in the player seat at the last moment.
Yep.
Unfortunately, our planned player had an assignment due that they really needed to focus on. And last but definitely not least, Troy.
Hey guys, I don't have anything to plug here, but I do love D&D, and I've been loving the Dawn Forge Cast patron page, all that. I'm currently the DM of one very long game, and just got finished with my first one shot. but I'm also a player in 2 other games. So hopefully I can give you guys some good information.
Awesome. So, to begin with, is there any topics any of you would like to discuss? If nothing comes to mind, I can pick a random topic.
This is a question to Alexandro. Just curious, how is the geek culture when it comes to tabletop gaming in the country where you're from? I know in the West it is more of a accepted norm.
Yeah, it's not so popular here. We don't have like you guys have big conventions and like you have Inquisitions Incorporated.
Yeah,
Incorporated.
yeah, we
Where they
have.
do live, yeah, they do a lot of things, but we don't have that here. We have a few clubs that are targeted to people who like tabletop games and board games, but it's not. People are not so used to it here. Until a few years recently, I have heard stories where a priest would chase some of my friends throwing rocks at them because they were playing D&D. So the mentality here is not so used to things like that.
I get what you're saying. It's my favorite stereotype of Christianity and D&D is that saying people who play it are actually diabologists or devil worshippers, which is quite hilarious when you actually get to roleplay as one in a campaign.
It's always struck me as very hypocritical because the default D&D campaign would see a devil as a villain. You're teaching of a good-evil binary and trying to tell you to be a good person.
Yes, exactly. You are basically fighting this evil. You're not doing the evil, in a standard campaign.
Yeah, and if you're concerned about the polytheism, just make your D&D game monotheistic. If that's
Rather, one character I played, he was just picture what would be an evil minion trying to do good in evil's eye, trying to fight off a threat. The funny thing at the end, he actually his deal he didn't pay it off in time, so the devil actually take him back. So quite hilarious how it ended for him.
I actually went through this whole thing a lot recently because I live right in the middle of the Bible Belt in the U.S. And my parents didn't understand, and they knew of it from back in the 70s and the 80s when it was considered evil and satanic and all that. And I did some research, and a lot of the issue was people all back in that time period. There were a few cases of people with mental disabilities who played and they couldn't distinguish between fantasy and real life.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the stigma comes from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bit of a funny story, Art.
But what I did with my parents is they love going to a place up in St. Louis that offers a murder mystery dinner in which the people who go to the dinner actually get selected to be characters and act out this murder mystery. So I just sat down and flat out told them it's nothing more than what you do with improving what your character would say and do, except for re-roll dice to determine what happens.
A bit of a funny story, actually. A few years back, one of my friends was playing a cleric, and he was, I think he was a cleric of Pelor or Hieronymus, one of the gods. And he printed his spell list so you can have it available during game. He didn't have to go through the books. And his mother saw the spell list, and she goes, "What's this?" And he says, "Those are my spells." And she just lost it. She thought her son had joined a cult or something like that. She just lost it. But during this age with internet and all those channels like your channel and Dawnforge Cast and all of that stuff, you can just go on the internet and see that it's just a bunch of geeks having fun. There's nothing wrong with it.
Actually, Dawnforge Cast has a really good video that's called something along the lines of Dungeons and Dragons and Christianity, that talks about how he got started playing, what Dungeons and Dragons really is, and kind of breaks through those myths that surround it. And I definitely recommend that to people who are having these issues, especially if the people they're trying to talk to and show their hobby to are open-minded enough to watch the video and listen to what's being said. Because really it's just us having fun telling stories. It's nothing more than children do all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And telling stories with each other has been around since the beginning of humanity. People used to gather around the fires and tell stories. There is nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Okay, is there any other topics or comments?
Nothing comes to mind right now.
Okay. Well, I actually have one. I was going to save it for Booker, but I'll ask him on our conversation anyway. Awesome.
You can just save that link and put into the video description later.
Yes, but I will definitely do so, because that is a really useful video. But the topic I was going to discuss with Booker is how maybe tips or tricks for improving so easily, because he is really good at improving and does it and makes it seem so effortlessly. So I'm kind of curious to hear what the people here kind of have with that.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But I've got one player who is very into making me improvise. That's like going off the beaten path, saying, "Oh, is there someone like this in this town who I could talk to?" And so I have found that one of the easiest ways to approach improvisation like that. Of course, you shouldn't improvise an entire adventure. Even if you somehow have those mystic powers, it's going to blow up in your face. But if you've got a player who's really committed to seeking out all these different things, my first bit of advice is to have, to think about that your characters don't have to be super detailed, especially these improvised characters. In the 5th edition DM guide, they've got a lot of random small character quirks that you can give to NPCs. Just as if they say, oh, I want to find this storekeeper in this town, think, okay, here's a quirk, there's the NPC. Do they have to say anything interesting? Maybe they don't. Probably the best way also to improvise is to play along with your players, because your players should be very, very allowing of your abilities, and they'll often have very good ideas of where to take stories. Those are my 2 bits of advice.
Before Jade interrupted,
Yeah, sorry.
The GM, the more that the person improvise, the better that they get to be at it over a course of time, just like practicing any type of skill. Just to add on to Jay's thought, a player improvising something can actually add a lot to a story. One campaign that I played in, we were supposed to save the city, but we did not go back in time, so the city is gone off the map. So that was something that the GM improvised. So it was quite interesting what players and GM can do when they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
But this is my little speech.
Okay. How about you, Alex? You got anything to add?
Well, yeah, like Donald said, the more you practice it, the better you become to it.
Okay. How about you, Matt?
Well, as a player, I think that the best thing that you can do is to know your character.
Sorry,
well.
guys, my internet just crashed. Sorry.
No problem. You were saying, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So yeah, best thing you can do is know your character well, and by that I mean ask yourself questions. How does this character feel about things? What are they compelled by? What are they running from? What makes them fight? Go into dangerous situations. What motivates them? There's so many beautiful questions that you can ask yourself. And when you're making NPCs or areas or creatures or things as a GM, I think those same questions or those similar questions can be very helpful too. Instead of just having this guy with no name or with a made-up name that you're just coming up with on a spot, and you're like put in a situation where you have to give them something interesting. Well, why are they here in the first place? What's going on in their head? Why are they motivated to be here? What's going on? And I think that the more you ask yourself those questions, what makes sense for this, that those questions become ingrained into your role playing. They become second nature, and you just start actually making decisions and making things from the character perspective because you know them so well. Because even if you just make them up, because you've asked yourself the same question a million times in other characters, you ask yourself it, and it's not even a thought process anymore. It's just like a reflex, and so you just sort of like answer those questions, and it might take you a second, it might take you a few minutes, but it means that by doing it over and over, that you're working yourself into an area that you can more easily succeed and more easily be like reactive to what's going on and realistic, which I think is important for immersion. But yeah, they're my thoughts.
Awesome. How about you, Mary? Anything to add?
Just to make sure I'm on the right page for improvising, right?
Yes.
I'd say what people put is pretty sound. Like yeah, even from a player's perspective, kind of like what Matt was saying, where just knowing your character because in I guess for every player, all of us are improvising on the spot. Like we're reacting to whatever the DM kind of presents, what the other players do, the situation that comes up, and so knowing your character well, you can react accordingly and and I guess better play out the story that way.
Awesome. How about you, Troy?
Yeah, probably started when I started out DMing, I would have said no, improvising is horrible. I would plan out years worth of campaigns,
I
but
was the same way.
but over time, you know, it becomes just a thing of like, even if you're planning for every single thing that could happen and you create everything in the world, you're always going to have to improvise something. One day they're going to want to go and visit the leathersmith, and you're like, why would I have made a leathersmith? And so having that ability to just react to it, I think is definitely practice. You definitely get more comfortable to it over time and kind of slowly stop planning more and more and kind of move towards that readiness, and also having an idea of like what you would do if something came up and being able to react to that, being in a keep and realizing they might ask for something that you haven't planned, and then, okay, well, if so they do ask for that, I'm going to go ahead and, create this. For me, the hardest part is voices, because I don't want to have every single person have the same similar voice, but on the fly, it's kind of a little harder to just instantly get into a voice that you haven't already used in the campaign, and you don't want to kind of confuse them with that. So I kind of always have a problem with getting the voice for a new character. But other than that, over time you get used to doing it all. And like you said, practice makes perfect.
I have a couple voices that I sometimes use, but I try to stay away from it because it's hard enough for some people to understand me with the speech impediment and audio issues with the text. So I try to keep it, if I do voice acting, I try to keep it pretty simple. But one of the things I like to do, and I do this a lot with my Carnival of Wonders one shot when they first go into the carnival, is I ask the players first, what's the first thing that catches your attention? And is it something you hear, something you smell? Something you see. I do the same. Sometimes you encounter a cat-like creature. Okay, maybe describe it for me. Joe, what does it sound like? As editor. And I put it on the players to actually improv of what's going on, and then I just improv the reaction to what they say. And that's helped me get comfortable with it a lot.
The other thing you can do with voices, you don't always have to voice act. You could pick a catchphrase, like a word that this NPC repeats. You can use that, and it makes that NPC special. Makes it different,
Yeah, and there's a couple things with that is not just a word or slang, but how they talk. Do they talk really fast, really slow?
Yes, exactly.
You do just a couple of things, and you have 4 or 5 different voices right there that are really close to your own. which is how I started learning into voice act. Put that and trying to copy accents.
Hmm. When it comes to voices and accents, I just listen to certain dialogue pieces, especially famous people or scenes, and try to reproduce the voice. One of my favorite clerics, which I did play, was a Tengu what lawful evil cleric of a sub-supremacy god. So just picture what would be a ultra white supremacy god personality for the cleric. I had a lot of fun playing as that type of personality, saying, "Oh, I am better than you. Bow down to me," or something like that. So that was one personality which I had a challenge playing out, but was entertaining.
I think the best example of an accent that I do is Dragonborn for dragons. Just the simple stressing the S, the C's, talking really slow and kind of deep.
A tool accent that I can do easily enough when it comes to voices would be a English-German accent or just a German accent straight out, because, well, I grew up with those accents.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot easier if you've grown up around different accents. And like people usually can't tell, but I do have a Southern USA accent.
I definitely pick it out. I work around with a lot of people and their accents, so I can generally tell this person is from the Center Hemisphere in Cuba, Dominican Republic, South America, Brazil, or whatever. That one good thing about working in the hospitality field.
Yeah, you definitely get a large access to different accents. I remember when I did janitorial work for a hotel, just all the different people coming and going, and me listening to them as I'm working, and it was interesting. Okay, we actually have a question from Benjamin, and his question is, what kind of music do you like to use to set the mood of the scene? For me, I tend not to use music unless it's an in-person game, and part of that is because it's really hard to get the music to play where people can hear it, unless you do something like Roll20. And for me, I tend to use only the voice chat programs such as Google Hangouts. Because everything I do is totally theater of the mind.
I really like to look up soundtrack music from video games, especially because video games will have lengthy tracks that are meant to be in the background of something else, so they'll have a sense of either traveling or of combat or being in a town. But I'd say that the number one greatest mood-setting track that I use, and I use it very sparingly because of this, is the Mantis hymn from the first Metal Gear Solid. If you're introducing some outsider villain, I used it for a Beholder, and it was awesome. The track is just so creepy. It's from the boss, the Psycho Mantis boss in the first Metal Gear Solid, and it is perfect. But other than that, just pick video games or something else whose soundtrack you like and go with that.
I will say there are soundtracks I do like that I do listen to. So a lot of Final Fantasy and the actual songs they use, not just the music. But, Krell is one of my go-tos, which they're not a very well-known group, but they do some really awesome ballad type songs.
When it comes to music, when it comes to character or getting into the role, I would listen to what type of music to get into the mind of the character. Let's say I want to play as a superhero mindset. I would listen to something upbeat, something like a song from a Superman movie. Or if I want to play as a Dark Sidious person, I would listen to imagine the villain songs from any Disney movie, or if it's just in between, something upbeat and pleasant, especially Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture. I like listening to that as a neutral piece to get into a mindset of a character.
Okay.
But if you're going to be using music in the background, just describe the music that is being played in the background. Let's say the group is entering a tavern. In the background, it looked like a group of band players are playing what appear to be jazz music. So that would be a way to use it without actually using the music.
Yeah, I've done that on numerous occasions. How about you, Jay?
Well, in the case of someone entering into a tavern, I typically probably won't put on a music track. You want to use that for special occasions, in my experience, because unless you have a library with an infinite number of tracks, your players are going to get very tired of hearing the same stuff.
Yeah, you don't even want to use music constantly. It's something you want to do very selectively.
Yeah, if there's something, again, they're walking into a tavern, or if they're at a party, I tend to, my players tend to like to crash noble parties. I'll typically have some sort of idea of what it sounds like, and I'll describe it. I'll say these are the instruments they're playing, and leave it up to them. Or if there's not a need for a song, sometimes they're just going about their business, and you don't need to think about music or background sounds too much unless they're really relevant.
Right. How about you, Alex?
Well, first of all, if you're gonna use music, make sure it's really low, just you can hear it, so it doesn't cover anything that you say or do. And I would avoid any music with lyrics unless it's in a specific scene where you're gonna say the bard sings this song and you have a song with lyrics. Otherwise, just instrumental music, anything from movies or video games. But just really low. And if you wanna use it, you can. If you wanna use it for the whole session, you can do a bit of a playlist thing where you have traveling in the forest music or combat music or cities music, things like that. So you can change it when the scene changes.
How about you, Matt?
Music's one of those things that's kind of really hard, in my opinion. I'm a musician, and I think that done well at the right time, music can be really impactful. I've tried to use music and has been widely unsuccessful. I just get, I don't know, I get bogged down in it. I kind of like it sometimes when other GMs do it and I'm a player and I hear them just do like a paragraph or something that's like, got a certain ambiance to it. Perhaps something like a really creepy marshland that you've never been before, and there's something that's just like lying in wait. I think those times it can be, like I said, really impactful. And I think it's a really good question to ask, what do I use? Well, I think that something, just reflecting what these other fine people have said, is use it sparingly. Because when you use it sparingly, it makes more of an impact. And I think if I was to try again, I'd probably lean myself towards ambiance rather than music. So by that, it could be like crickets chirping, it could be like people talking in the background, not like words, just like, the sound of the tavern in the background, or the sound of the hammer on the anvil from the armor smith, or the sound of the birds chirping, or something like that if you're in a forest. And sometimes it can be tracks of music that have a whole little tiny bit of a melody that's not significant, it's just like accompanying that ambience, and sometimes those can be cool. But yeah, just I don't know what tracks and in what situations. It's kind of like a little bit up to you. And there are programs out there like Jared said, Roll20 and other things that have like lists of, you can just type in, what you want, battle or haunted house or whatever. And there's lists there that you can look up. Otherwise, just whatever sounds good to you, really.
Okay. How about you, Mary? Is there any certain kind of music you like to use? I know one of my favorites that you do is the ballad that you sing, I believe, of an Urk.
Yeah, Ballad of Uruk-gon. Yeah, that's just what I kind of throw in here and there just because it's a good battle hymn. But yeah, it's something that in the campaign that I'm in with the Monday night games. Goodness me, say words. I play a bard, and me being musically inclined and whatnot, like I try to pick out songs that she would probably play or have in her repertoire to just kind of change it up, whether it's something very solemn or something very light and upbeat, and sometimes, yeah, I'll throw those in when it's like, oh, Malnick gets to play a song, she's gonna play this song, and I'll like find it and post it so people can like hear it and whatnot. And but for the most part, like with characters, as a player, like I'll make playlists basically. So kind of the idea of like getting into the character's mindset and whatnot by playing music. If I hear a song or something, I'll be like, oh, this would be so and so's character. So I like literally have these playlists for a handful of my characters that when I need to get into their mindset or something, I'll just turn it on. It's like, okay, I'm good to go. And so.
Awesome. How about you, Troy?
I think I kind of agree with everyone else. You definitely use it sparingly. You definitely want it to be not the focal point. You want it to play in the background. My experience, I use it when I used to do live games in person, I'd use it a little bit more. Sometimes I have a couple of playlists with just kind of like combat music, so you throw that on and let it play for an hour, and it's been in the background. But when I do use it, because I run most of my games through Roll20 now, when I do use it in Roll20, it's 100% for the creepy aspect, the kind of spooky tone. I use it when they approach, you approach this rundown house, and I have a couple tracks I have set up, and I'll run the first one for a minute, and then once they're inside, it kind of more intensifies. And in those situations, when they're just walking around and not doing anything, it's a little, I'll turn it up just a little bit, and that can really, kind of put them on edge. And it's funny to see how much really the music can do that, because these players they'd walk down the street and not care at all, but you throw this music on and they're making perception checks left and right in the house, and which is good for setting up that kind of horror, like spooky kind of theme. And yeah, also introduction of big kind of brooding, overarching like leaders or characters, like you said, have a small soundtrack that you play for them the first time that you meet them, or maybe the final battle when you meet them. Then they have their little monologue over something. That's mostly when I would use the music.
Before I talk a little bit about Roll20 and some of the things I like with their program, one thing that also strikes me is you can use music and sound effects to mislead your players as well. Such as, for example, playing spooky, creepy music when they come into a ruined house. You could play it and there'd be absolutely nothing in the house.
Yeah, that's one of the things
Usually I would do that if I had a player at the table who liked to use metagame knowledge all the time.
Yeah. I've another example of that I've done is in Roll20 you have a lot of things you can use. So I'll get a dragon roar or something, and I'll have it come out. You approach the cave. This is what you hear, and you just hear the dragon's roar. And who's gonna distinguish a dragon's roar from a bear's roar and all that? But they, it puts them on edge immediately, and they go, maybe we don't want to go in that cave. And then it turns out to just be some bear in the back or something. It's good. Yeah, like you said, it's good for the metagamers.
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoyed about Roll20 when I used the audio stuff there is how you can come up with all these different tracks and sound effects, and you can turn them on all at the same time. So you might have a sound effect of water dripping. You might have this creepy background music. You might have the sound of monks chanting with gongs being rung, and it just putting it all together can make for a really mind-blowing experience. But it has to be used sparingly, not just because it can be a distraction and it can become a focal point, but also because if you use it too much, players want to experience it all the time, and then they become used to it. And it's kind of one of those things, you want it to mean something when you do use it. So I think we've answered Benjamin's question for the most part. So, is there another topic that anyone would like to discuss?
I guess I got one if we want to hear it. It's probably kind of going off of what we just spoke about. How do you deal with metagaming in your games, and how do you try to avoid it as a player? Because I've been having a decent amount of trouble with one of my players who I've spoken to him about it, but he's always kind of good players will try to avoid it, but you always have those people that will use it just a little bit and here and there, and how do you avoid giving them that information?
Okay. I'll kick this off because I have, like I said, the sound effects is one way, and then having nothing be there, even though, by the description, they see shadows moving out of the corner of their eyes, and they turn around, nothing's there. And then you just kind of keep doing that, and eventually they'll figure out it's just a trick of the light. Another trick I use is, especially when it comes to the metagaming of players knowing the monsters out of the monster manual, is to reskin the monster or describe them in a way that makes them think the monster's something else. Like for example, I described a gelatinous cube that looked like a water elemental with tentacles. And until the players attacked and started to get sucked inside of them, they did not know it was a gelatinous cube. They thought it was a water elemental.
Is it the one Gaia fought against?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
My favorite monster in the monster manual is the cube. At AGM, you can make the cube to be whatever you want. Have a giant cube that is resistant to fire, that burned everything in its way. To answer your question, Troy, when it comes to players knowing what they know about the monster, I would ask the GM, my character had this background and is this class. So would my character know? What would my character know about this monster?
Yeah.
It helped with role playing and know what I can use and what I cannot use.
Yeah, that's how a good player should be. Is they think like their character, and if they're not sure that they would know something given their backstory, they ask.
I have a player who knows far more about Dungeons and Dragons than I think any other human being in the world possibly. To put things into perspective, he has, for people who know what D&D 3.5 was like, he has every 3.5 book, and he can come close. I've quizzed him. He can come very close to knowing what's on every page of all of them. And he even
I hate to say, but I have to be one of the DMs I sat under knows every a page of every book of every edition of D&D. Except for this.
That's very nice for a DM, but when he's a player.
Yeah.
I
As
would.
a player, he would be a pig.
Yeah. I'm actually curious. How much time did the person actually wasted to actually remember all of this? Probably too much time.
No. Oh, he just happens to be one of those people who have a photographic memory. he reads something once and remembers it.
Anyway, but so this player of mine, because he already knows everything in the book, and he doesn't intend to metagame, but he does hard. Whenever he notices it, he stops himself. But it's sometimes when you know that much, it's hard not to have it in your mind.
It is definitely a temptation, even for me, as when I play and I'm far from knowing even half of the stuff, even in the player's handbook.
I'd like to point out this one shot that you did, John, where it was a moment where I was metagaming a little bit, and I try my best not to, and if people catch me, please let me know, just because I really tried to play two character, and he brought up this teddy bear, and and my character, of course, is like, woo, I won a prize, I got a teddy bear, and she's like walking off with it when it starts talking, and me myself, I'm going, no, it's the possessed teddy bear. How did my character get the possessed teddy bear? And I'm like, well, okay, my character won't know that, but man, she'd be really freaking out if her teddy bear just started talking. And so, like, she basically starts beating it with her club just to destroy it. Like, this thing shouldn't talk. And out pops this little metal contraption that is like basically a voice recorder kind of thing. And it's like, you just broke your toy. And it's just like, oh. And of course I'm just like, oh, of course, it's not the same. He put that twist on it.
It's probably my all-time favorite experience of metagaming, because he was playing off of the experience of having been in another one-shot I did. I used a haunted teddy bear.
Yeah, no, it was pretty smooth.
One of my favorite mods.
They were the same teddy bear.
One of my favorite monsters in the Pathfinder bestiary is, I think it's called a soul doll. Just imagine a porcelain doll with a soul. So just thinking how to use it, especially in a horror theme, especially dolls or animatronic dolls that want to kill you. That's one of my favorite monsters for that.
Okay, well, we are running right at an hour, so let's call the topic good. But we will go around one more time after Mary gets a chance to ask a question.
Question? I didn't come prepared with a question.
Improv one.
Oh dear. I guess for the DMs, what is a favorite setting, like a genre of running your campaign, like mystery, horror, sandbox? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say not so much genre, that's more of a mood or theme.
Okay, yeah.
For me, it's my personal favorite is definitely the mystery and suspense, kind of the investigation feel. Mostly because those tend to be the most roleplay heavy, with the most interaction between the characters that I've seen. So how about you, Donald? What's your favorite kind of theme or mood to use?
My favorite theme when it comes to campaign would be mystery horror. One campaign which I was in for a short amount of time before it fell apart was on Dawnforge Cast. We were playing as a group of investigators into the unknown. Think of the X-Files show.
Okay.
And so something like that, investigation, horror into the unknown. That's something I like if it's done right. Besides that, I always enjoy the typical adventurer go save the day, whether they're good or evil heroes.
Okay. Alright. How about you, Jay?
I'm very similar. Mysteries are always fun. You always want to have some element of mystery to your campaigns. Maybe it's not as vital for a one-shot, but definitely, though, a traditional hero saving the day. I'm a big fan of playing around with what's seen as sort of the traditional type of adventure. You go into a dungeon because someone told you to do something, and you have twists and turns within that. There's a lot you can do with it, and I think that it's kind of funny because a lot of times people are, a lot of settings are like, oh, we'll not do that. We're not going to do the typical dungeon crawler thing, so much so that it's now fresh to do, in my mind. It's fresh to do some going through a
I
dungeon.
usually like to do those to kick off a campaign.
Mhm.
Okay. How about you, Alex? What's your favorite theme or movie to play in or to DM? We're not having you, Alex. Nope, still, oh, nothing. I leaving the hangout and rejoining. That might fix it. And in the meantime, while Alex fixes his audio tech issues, Matt, how about you? What's your favorite thing or movie?
I don't like that question.
I know, it's so hard to pick just one.
Okay, so I'm very changeful when it comes to these things. So at the moment, right at the second, I'm really loving the Victorian Gothic, very dark and brooding kind of world. For example, I'm watching Penny Dreadful, and God, it's amazing. Just I'm so into that sort of thing right now. But if I was to pick something generically outside of that, I mean, I'm a person that wants character and world exploration. It doesn't necessarily have to be mystery, but I want to develop the world, and I want to develop my character. I want to be challenged, and rather than say necessarily what sort of setting or what sort of feeling, I'd rather answer by saying what I want out of those things, because any of those things can be just as exciting as the next.
Yeah.
And I guess, for each of those you do want a slightly different thing, but the thing that I enjoy most is seeing characters have to make decisions that are impactful upon them, see things that are impactful for them, experience things, and see them grow and change and react, and those times are my favorite times. So it's not directly answering the question, but
Okay.
it's my way of answering the question.
Matt, just thinking, something came to mind. Something like a Game of Thrones. That is how the character grows over the books, right?
Yeah, I think that realistically, a character is never ever gonna stay as they were made if you're playing it right.
Exactly.
And
Couldn't agree more.
I love reacting to things. I love when things just come out of left field and just make you shift your mindset a little bit and shift how the players, how the characters doing things. I actually had the privilege of giving that to someone as a GM because I introduced a character that they just totally were not expecting, and with a voice and that I wasn't expecting and what they weren't expecting, and it just created a totally different scenario, and it made them, I don't know, just think outside of the box for even just a short time. And I think that those times are the most exciting times, and I desire more of that, definitely.
Definitely. Very well said, by the way, Matt. So,
Can you guys
Alex,
hear me now?
yes, we can
Oh,
hear
thank
you.
God. I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
So
no problem.
I was saying that I like the generic medieval setting, and as a DM, you're kind of forced to play what your players like. I also like investigations and detective. I love, reading Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. But my players don't enjoy it as much as I do. So I kind of have to go down to the road of the general epic adventure, kind of like the Lord of the Rings movie. But what I like to do with my settings is add contrast. I might have a medieval setting, but there might be one town that is really ahead in technology, or might not use magic at all. Stuff like that to keep it a bit fresh.
Yeah. One thing you can do also with a theme or a mood, like, for example, you said you like mysteries, and your players tend to like the more epic adventures. You can do one session and that is a minor mystery, have them puzzle out maybe how to gain entrance into the thief skill, and they need to talk to the thief skill master to find out information about a relic that they're supposed to hunt down. So that's little ways you can bring that in without making the overall theme in not what your players want. So Troy, how about you? Is there a certain theme or mood you like?
I think as far as theme goes, I'm always in the mindset of enjoying a, a kind of like progressive world building, I guess. Essentially, like very much the characters shape the way that the world is, and they come into this world that they kind of have no clue about, but as they interact, they find out these small parts and they put it all together. Another kind of mood I go for is like the dying world kind of theme, where like essentially the world is just dying and you need to find a way to fix it, and there's some hints here and there, and you interact with different people to get to the final goal.
I definitely do the dying world a lot. In fact, fact, Fire Emblem series is based pretty much around that. So let let's let's go through one by one and kind of give a final thought, overall thought, kind of say goodbye to our viewers. It's because it's right about the time we need to be wrapping this up. So, O'Donnell, how about you kick us off?
I hope that everyone enjoys their gaming and their personal preferences while taking notice of what other people's interests are, so everyone can have a fun experience. Happy gaming, everyone.
Exactly. Jay?
Yeah, I'm very pro that. Happy gaming. I think the number one rule is make your gaming fun for you, and don't do anything to make it less fun for others. There's always something that you can do to improve it for you that can work with what everyone else wants to do to improve it for them. I'm confident in that.
Exactly. Alex?
Yeah, like you guys said, just have fun with it. Try to remember that it's a game. We're here to have fun. We're here to tell a story, and it's not the DM story; it's everyone's story. We all get the chance to write something in that thing that we do. We create. We all create here.
Exactly. Matt?
I don't have a lot to say except that role-playing is something that I think helps us to relax and helps us to deal with life in a completely different fashion. I think that that role-playing expands our minds and expands our hearts, and it's incredibly exciting to see more and more people come into the hobby and finding connections with people all across the world. And I would encourage anyone that is considering doing any new role-playing or anything like that to do it, because connecting with people, people that you haven't met, people that come from different backgrounds and different experiences in role playing and playing in different games, it's totally something that's worthwhile and totally something that is fresh and new, no matter how many times you've done things, and that there's meeting people and seeing how people do stuff. It's just it's character building for yourself, and I think that's what I want to leave on.
Awesome. Mary?
I'd like to second what Alex was saying, where it's first and foremost, it is just a game, but definitely bring your creativity and whatnot and help tell the story. So put your mark into the game as who you are, and definitely enjoy yourself.
Okay. Hey, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, essentially going along with what everyone else has said, it's a game that you're creating, and it's not just the DM story, and you definitely need to offer your players that ability. And I think that doing that, if you were a player and you had your DM offer you a lot of free ability to do what you want, you'd be really excited. So I think doing that as much as you can and without, of course, hurting your story is great to work out. And hope everyone has a good week and good gaming.
Awesome. Yes, I definitely have to agree with Troy. When you offer that kind of freedom, your players get very excited. Isn't that right, Miss Murray? TMs a couple days before the session.
Yep.
And, but
I take lots
it's
of creative
not just
liberties.
the players who get excited, the DMs get excited. And because they don't know what's going to happen. And so each session's totally up for grabs, with the players putting their spins on it, the DM putting his 2 cents in, and it becomes something that's greater than any one of us. And none of us could come up with these stories that are so epic by ourselves. Oh, yeah, we may come up with good ones, maybe even great ones, but when you get all these creative minds together, or they work together, it just blows anything else I know of out of the water. So, with that being said, I hope our viewers enjoy this DM's open panel. We will be having a special one probably tomorrow evening, in which it will be just Michael Barker and I talking, since he was unable to make this one. And it will be more of an interview format than an actual open forum discussion like this is. It's because it's much harder to do that one-on-one. So until next time, may your dice always roll in your favor.